There comes a time in the life of a booktuber when you have to decide, do you go along with the crowd or are you willing to stand alone? Today, for this review of a much lauded dystopian horror classic, I'm stepping boldly into an unpopular opinion corner. It may be lonely over here, but for this book, it's absolutely the right place for me to be. Let me tell you why. Welcome to Fantasy for the Ages, the show where father and son talk about fantasy, science fiction, horror, and all sorts of glorious nerddom content. I'm Jim, the father of this channel, and if you enjoy honest reviews, passionate rants, and the occasional hot take, go ahead and tap that like button. If you haven't already, subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss one of our latest episodes. New content is dropping all the time, and we'd love to have you along for the ride. So today I'm here to talk to you about Swan Song, a classic horror dystopian tale by Robert McCammon. This was published all the way back in 1987 and is post-apocalyptic dystopian horror. This is not some flash-in-the-pan novel. It was a big hit back in its day. In fact, it was the winner of the 1988 Bram Stoker Award for Best Novel. About the best you can get as a horror novel in the awards circuit. It was not the winner by itself that year. It actually tied with Misery by Stephen King, another exceptional novel. At its release, and still today, amongst many horror fans, Swan Song is considered a standout of 1980s speculative fiction. It's frequently compared to The Stand, often touted as McCammon's own epic take on the world-ending battle of good versus evil. Readers praise its sweeping scope, its ensemble cast, its strong emotional beats, and its themes of renewal after ruin. Many cite its characters and villains as some of McCammon's best work, and it remains one of his most commonly recommended novels. That's what they say. A viewer of our channel, knowing The Stand is my all-time favorite Stephen King novel, reached out and did the recommendation thing. Literally, Jim, if that's your jam, you'll probably love Swan Song. I love the recommendations of our viewers, so I was happy to oblige. And of course, I'm always eager for another great dystopian epic. So, with very little hesitation, I picked up Swan Song. I figured if this is the book so many readers claim rivals King's masterpiece, why not see for myself? Well, I saw, and now you're going to hear about it. First, a Spoiler-Lite Summary for the many of you who probably have never read this book. Swan Song unfolds in the aftermath of nuclear devastation. The book literally opens just as World War III hits, leaving America obliterated and society gone, with scattered survivors struggling to endure the poisoned world that remains. Among these is Swan, a young girl with strange, possibly supernatural gifts tied to life and renewal. She travels with Josh Hutchins, a former professional wrestler, or as my dad said, a wrestler, who becomes a de facto father figure for Swan. Their journey intersects with Sister, a homeless woman suffering from trauma who undergoes dramatic changes and discovers new abilities of her own. Looming over all of them is a mysterious and malevolent figure known as the Man with the Crimson Eye, whose motives and origins blur the line between human and supernatural evil. As these characters trek across the shattered remnants of America, their paths converge toward an inevitable confrontation between destruction and rebirth, between those who want to remake the world and those who want to just watch it burn. And there are those who want to watch it burn. Oh, some of the nasty characters in here, so nasty. Now, I'll be honest. This was no The Stand. In fact, I had no idea going into it how beloved this book was, until after I'd already posted a few unimpressed comments online during my reading. Matt over at Go Read Books, YouTube channel, good friend, he chimed in to let me know, The areas I was saying were the weakest in the novel, character development, especially the one-note villains, are often the very things McCammon is praised for, and Matt considers this one of the best books he read this year. I just don't get it. In fact, I'm flat out shocked that Swan Song tied with Stephen King's Misery for that Bram Stoker Award. I've read both novels now. Misery kicks Swan Song's butt. I mean, it's not apples to apples. They're very different stories, but Misery's just brilliant. Swan Song? It's okay. The story felt thin to me. The central villain, while supernatural, didn't do much for me. And major plot turns were rather predictable. They barely counted as plot twists to me. Even elements that I did like, such as the intriguing Job's mask, felt underdeveloped, rushed, or simply too transparent in their eventual payoff. Did I have trouble finishing the novel? No. It moved well enough, and there were parts that I appreciated, but it's not something I'll really be recommending. There are better dystopian epics out there, much better, and this one especially feels stuck in the late 1980s in ways that have not aged gracefully. Some character portrayals, some dialogue, flat out caricatures now. And honestly, they wouldn't have been so good in 1987 really either. McCammon wants us to dislike certain characters. He's really making his point with the way he creates these people, what they say, what they do, and they're definitely villains. But his choices with dialogue and actions to attract our contempt for those characters comes across as shortcut writing rather than developing genuine character depth. Again, in my opinion. But this is a positive channel. I don't like to bash books. So let me give you 5 reasons that you might actually enjoy Swan Song. Because despite my reaction, there are people out there who love this book. There are legitimate reasons someone else might connect with it. Number 1, the relationship between Josh and Swan. Their father-daughter dynamic offers warmth, tenderness, and some emotional grounding for this story. It's one of the true highlights of the novel. Number 2, sister's transformation and growth. Even if it feels a bit unearned, her evolution provides a compelling emotional arc for readers who enjoy redemption-adjacent storylines. My 3rd reason, if you have a love for dystopian disaster fiction. If you crave stories of nuclear ruin, survival struggles, and societies rebuilding from the ashes, this scratches that itch thoroughly. My 4th reason, fascinating supernatural elements. The Man with the Crimson Eye and the Job's Mask are memorable additions that blend horror and fantasy in creative ways in this story. And my 5th reason, if you enjoy themes of destruction and rebirth. If you appreciate that post-apocalyptic story that ultimately aims for hope, fresh starts, renewal, restoration, Swan Song totally delivers that mix. Do I regret reading Swan Song? No. I might have come off strong there, but I'm glad I read the story. Am I surprised I'd never heard about it before someone recommended it recently? Also, no. For me, the story simply isn't strong enough to stand the test of time. If you missed it back in '87, you did not miss a masterpiece as I look at it. But if dystopian disaster fiction is your thing, go ahead and give it a shot. You may find things in it that work better for you than they did for me. As for my rating, I've given this a solid 3 out of 5 stars. 3 is okay. It's certainly good enough to finish, not good enough to recommend widely. Thanks for sticking around with me for my review. And remember, whatever you think, you agree with me, you think I've lost my mind, Swan Song's a masterpiece, doesn't matter which side you fall. I'd love to hear your perspective on this story. Put your thoughts down in the comments. I read those, and I do try to respond. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss our future episodes as we dive into books, stories, and all things speculative. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.